Hello, friends. Greetings to all of you who are joining in for the next episode of Ordinary to Extraordinary. I like to welcome all of you wherever you are in or whenever you are listening and watching this LinkedIn Live or YouTube Live. I like to welcome my guest today, Rajeev Narayanan. There is a quick story which I just want to share with you my introduction and meeting Rajiv. I moved to the UAE and I wanted to learn more about adult learning, especially training the people who are mature in the workplace. And I registered for a program which is called Train the Trainer program, which was facilitated by Rajiv. So Rajiv is my guru in that aspect of learning, introducing me to the world of learning and also guiding us through that process as a group of young enthusiasts into the learning domain or training field. Rajiv at that time was with Dale Carnegie programs and facilitating all across different parts of the world. So that is a quick introduction how I met Rajiv Narayan. So it is a pleasure, and thank you, Rajiv, for taking the time and joining me. So I will just give you a quick insight into Rajiv and his background, especially from a professional background. So Rajiv started as business. Sorry, friends, I got disconnected. Apologies for that. I pressed the wrong button in between. Sorry for that, Rajiv. So I was just saying that, how will you introduce yourself into the world of work and what you do?
All right. I think you were introducing me, and that's when you completely went off.
Yeah, sorry for that. Yeah, sorry for that, friends. In between,
No
you
problem.
uh, got disconnected from the stream.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we press one window to another, we by error pressed on something wrongly. So, Rajiv, I was just introducing Rajiv being within the HR and learning space, starting with the Tata Capital and moving into various organizations like TVS Motors, Johnson Controls, and currently heading the leadership elements India as founder and CEO. So I was just asking, how will you do an introduction to our audience?
That's a tough one. It's been a while. We have been asked to do that, but let me make my humble attempt here. I think I'd like to call myself as somebody who, I always say that when I die and a tomb is made in my name and what should be written on the tomb, I would love it to be written and people read that a well read person and a deep thinker. That's what I would love people to remember me as because I've inherited the habit of reading from my father, and because of which I am what I am today. And I've seen how that habit has helped me grow, evolve, amplify myself as an individual. So that's one part. Another part, I'm an absolute energetic extrovert person, and I very jokingly tell people that if you leave me in a room without human beings for 24 hours, you'll find my dead body. You can come and light a candle next to my photograph. So that's what I am in quick introduction.
Yeah, so I see your journey fascinating. From so our aim is to help our audience to see how people make different pivots at different points of time, and how we reinvent ourselves in that journey to become from ordinary to extraordinary. So I just like to go back. When you look back, for example, what was the first career like? What was that career break look like? What was some stories which you think has helped you to move to your first job, to be honest?
So if we go back, we'll have to go back many years, and let me try to go there. I did my engineering, and because my father wanted me to be the first engineer of the family, and he had a great pride in calling me that. And I did engineering for his wish, and I tried that, and then figured out I did it in 4 years, and came out, and I realized that I'm not made for talking to machines and generators and motors and circuit breakers and transformers, etc. for life. So did some engineering work in a transformer manufacturing company after the college. Got selected, did some work there, and then as destiny would have, I got a chance to get into the banking space. I think I would call that as the first pivot in my life because destiny took me there, which straight away brought me to people, with people, and a profession which is for people. So you interact with people day in and day out in retail banking, and then you have customers walking in, having complaints, having service requests, and that's where I loved my work because it was all about human beings and not just machines. So I would say that was the first one. That
Hmm,
journey went
hmm.
on for a while, and accidentally it just happened that we were called for a management development program as leaders in the organization, and it just happened that at the last minute the trainer couldn't make it because his wife fell ill, and we got a last minute information, and my regional head was my boss said, Raji, why don't you go and run the program? I said, look, I'm a banker. I can talk on investment banking and retail banking and corporate. I can't train. He said, no, you talk well. Why don't you go and run a program? I said, talking well is different, and running a program for 30 leaders sitting in front of me is a different game altogether. He said, no, please do it. And as they call the cliche, baptism by fire, I was thrown into the program. I took the entire bunch of manuals, sat through the entire night, prepared till 2:33 a.m., went and ran a 3-day program. Luckily, today, after the 3 days of workshop, feedback came in that the replacement trainer is better than the original one. And
Yeah.
in corporate, all of us know that good work is awarded with more work. So I got more programs to deliver, and I think somewhere I started realizing this is what I want to do in life. And that's how my second pivot happened from a banking professional to training, and then quickly to realize get into a consulting organization and so on and so forth. And today, yes, I'm here running a uh, consulting organization and delivering and facilitating programs and designing interventions. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Raju. So that's an interesting story when all in a surprise you are in front of a bunch of people, and that so I love that. So what were the for example, when that came, what were some of your thoughts, and what were some of the, for example, maybe after the first day when you started listening to the experience of participant, do you remember those
Oh,
things?
yes, of course. I still remember very vividly. I had prepared the post-its, kept it all over to figure out what is the next point I need to speak. If this question comes, what should I say? So peeping into the chits and then talking to audience. So I didn't do a great job in day one. Then I went back, sat down. I think one of the realization I had early on that life throws you in a spot.
Hmm.
Now you may have situations where there's no turnaround. You have to deliver it. The only
Hmm.
way
Hmm.
is you either goof it up or you do well. And consciously, all of us know we don't want to goof it up because our ego doesn't allow us to do that. So you better will pull your socks up, prepare, and deliver it. So I did double preparation that evening, that night. Stood in front of the mirror and rehearsed and figured out what are those small mistakes I goofed up on day one, so that I don't repeat them on day two and day three. And went on and did what I could do best. And eventually, this is the feedback that I got from the audience. So I think that episode gave me two learnings. One, when you're put in a spot in life, you have to grab it with both the hands and you deliver it. That's one. Second, I think if you're able to work on the fear factor, and come out of it, I think you can do a good job. Because a great learning I had is, all of us have butterflies in our stomach. Now, you can do nothing away about it, but you can definitely form formations of the butterfly. So I think the effort is to how do you form that formation so that you're able to do something outside. These are two things that I kind of learned in that first 3 day intervention or a program that I delivered in my career.
So I think that also, for example, I see that leader who asked Rajiv at that moment, Rajiv, we want you to run that.
Yeah.
So have you had any conversation after that, after the program completion? And what was that
His
gem
response,
which you, yeah, what was that diamond which you discovered in that process?
his response was like a typical boy. I knew you can do a good job, so I can never go wrong. I
Okay,
said, yeah,
okay.
but I think that's where the leaders stand out, right? And if listeners are listening here, I think one of the job the leaders do is once you identify that the team member has got the capability, which may not be 100% to the full potential, even if you have 60%, 70% potential, just nudge the team member. Many times you never know what can blossom out of that team member. God forbid the team member fails. It's okay. At least team member and the boss knows that this is not an area that you should nudge this person into, and you can probably look at a deflection point and look at a different track. But at least you know what he or she is good at, what he or she is not maybe so good at. Without pushing somebody in a spot or in a situation like this, you may not know. You may walk on assumptions. And I think that
Mm.
happened for me very well. But that doesn't mean that every leader should push somebody and put in a spot. But I'm saying that the effort of nudging a team member is something that every leader should do.
Mm, mm, mm.
I think he did the job very well for me. Today, in hindsight, though I was very angry with him on that day zero, but today I'll thank him because that's what probably made me what I am today.
Yeah, that's interesting. So here I'm seeing that how that challenge push you to transcend and strive for something greater in that journey.
Yeah. I mean, it helped me
So
find the purpose in my career, in fact. So thanks to him.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So now I may just ask this question. So if you look back, what are some of those inspirations? It may be from our family, it may be some our colleagues, it may be some from our teachers, whoever.
Yeah.
If you still think some of the words which they have shared, what are they, and how that energizes you as you move forward?
Absolutely. There are many, Phoebe, and we can keep talking for 45 minutes about those people, and all of us have such people in our life, right? But I have two, three of them who have played a very significant role in my life, and I want to go back to my own father. My father was a civil servant, very, very well read man. You can talk to him about astronomy, about spirituality, about any subject on the planet. He would read, read, and read. During those days, we used to have this, we still have Hindu newspapers. So he would give me a task of reading the editorial, which was written by N. Ram during those days, and also a sport column. And when he comes back from office, I have to narrate to him what's the editorial that day and what were three new words that I learned in English. And I
Mm,
have to
mm,
tell him the meaning of the words and also form a sentence to prove it that I know the meaning of the word.
mm, mm,
Right?
mm,
I think this greatly pushed me into the beautiful habit of reading. One of the things that he told me, which stayed with me until now stays with me, is when you focus on excellence in small things in life, then you can achieve big things in life. And he was a man of perfection. I have never seen him mess up things, that thing, that place. Everything was spick and span, right? So that was one great learning I had from my father. Second, I had a biology teacher through whom I had a great learning. Uh, she would come and run the class in such a way that all of us would get absolutely engaged. And she would always tell me that when you love what you're doing and you engage people, then learning will automatically happen. I think that was a great learning I had from her. She was one of my favorite teachers. So that was a great uh, inspiration. Then many, many years fast forward, I come to an organization where I work with a very senior leader. He made a very powerful sentence, which was again a great inspiration for me. He said, Rajiv, life is always a battle between senses and intellect. The person who wins is who's able to win the senses by the intellect. The person who does the other may not win. So I think for all of us, that this fight is constantly in us. How many of us are able to get the intellect over the senses or the otherwise? I think these three were great, I would say milestone learnings that I had in my life, amongst many, many others.
Yeah, I think that engagement is something which we experienced when we were in the
So
as participants with you. So I highly appreciate that learning with you during the
I cannot
train to
forget
train.
those 2 days, 3 days we had. It was fabulous for me. It was what,
Thank
15 years back?
you. Yeah.
My goodness. My goodness. Look at that. We are getting old for me.
It was in the year 2009.
Oh, that's more than that then.
Yeah, yeah. So it is
16
24. Yeah,
years.
yeah, almost 15, 16. Yeah, that's that's yeah. So
Lovely.
I still have that. At the end of our demo session, you give us stars. I still keep it with me.
How
I
sweet of
thought I
you.
will bring it as a moment. Yeah, I missed to take it up with me, but I still have that with me. So thank you, Rajiv, for those inspirations. Now, another aspect which I just sometimes people feel stuck in
Hmm.
their journey. We all experience that stuckness at one point of or others. So when you look back, what are some of the areas which helped you to move out of that stuckness, to try and experiment new things? Is there any stories which you recollect?
Right. I think that's a very interesting question. Uh, there were two situations in my career. One was not a very good experience. So I joined this organization with a lot of expectations. People said this is going to be the retirement organization, fabulous place, etc., etc. And that organization has a history of being a great place to work. And now I had a bad experience, and I would definitely give it to the boss who made it toxic for me. And within 8 months, I had to put down my papers and walk out. Right now, that was a tough call,
Hmm.
right? But I think I took the call because for all of us, when you reach a particular point where you don't know what to do, it looks difficult, it looks tough. I think my learning has been that take a pause and ask, is this something that is affecting the core joy that you have in what you're doing? If the answer is a clear no from your heart, it's an exit indication. If you see yourself dragging yourself from the bed to the office and you're doing this for at least a week, it's a clear indication that it's time to exit. So when you reach tough points like this, get that question. Is this something which is enjoyable for me? If it is no, pivot and seek what you love doing. And I did that once in this experience of mine in my career. It was good for me.
Hmm.
It may be difficult initially, but eventually, in hindsight, you'll realize that was one of the best decisions that you would have taken. And I think the that particular point where we have an oscillation in the head, should I not, should I not, that's the botheration. And if you go deep, you have actually figured out that you want to move out. But you still ask this question, should I not, should I not? Right?
Hmm.
And I had this very interesting book that I read some time back. I think Adam Grant, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe the different author. He says, you know what, whenever you ask this question, should I go out to buy this or should I stay at home? The moment you have a question or two things, it means your mind is already saying, don't do it. You're only trying to find your own excuses to do it. Because if you were to go out, your mind would have said, let's go. It would never ask this oscillatory question, right? So I think in any spot in life, ask yourself, am I getting two questions which is hitting my head? If you're getting two questions hitting your head and they're oscillating in your head, it's a clear no. If there is no oscillatory question, it's a clear yes. I think that has helped me to take the decision. That I always pause and ask, am I having two questions in my head in this situation? If there are, I'll take the no and do the other one. If no, I get one question, then I'm absolutely clear this is the way forward.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way of guiding our audience to see what is going on in their mind.
And all of us, during the decision point, all of us have this point where we either have one question or two questions in a head. Yeah. That was a great learning I had during that tough time of my employment that I went through. That was one. Second, a good one was again an organization that I work with, which taught me the importance of execution excellence. That was a great learning I had. How important it is to go to details. How do you focus on execution excellence? This organization was a very total quality management Japanese kind of a culture, so naturally they would work on these as one of the value systems. So I had a great learning there that superficiality doesn't take you far. You pick anything, you have to go to the depth of it. This alphabet T, which has got a horizontal line and a vertical line. It's so important to go deeper in the vertical line, because when you go deeper in the vertical line, then you excel in what you are and you become a specialist, but not at the cost of discounting the horizontal line. But I think over life, I've realized that even if the length of the horizontal line is not long enough, you may not have garnered all the knowledge of the world, but at least one that you're so deep at it that you are the best at it. And that will take you places. Yeah. If that answered your question, I think.
Yeah. Of course, I was just thinking both give a different perspective for people. One with respect to how to make a decision in that space, and another is how that deepening of expertise help us to get more what we call extraordinary achievements in that deepening of practice. So that's very helpful.
Yeah.
Now now like when you look back, so these are
Hmm.
two aspects which you mentioned. Is there any specific experience or lesson that profoundly impacted your worldview and beliefs?
For me, you want an old one or a recent one?
Something which can be either old or new. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'll talk about a situation again. 3 years back, 2.5 years back, I lost my father. So that was a very momentous moment in my life, because he was somebody who kind of sculpted me, and I spoke about him earlier on. Now his loss was difficult for a while, and it is still a vacuum for all of us. But what I learned in life is you make all the efforts to do something in life. But the fact of the matter is, all of us have something which is providentially planned. You are somebody who can take certain efforts, certain actions, certain thought processes can happen in you. All of that you're doing would eventually take you through the providential path which is templatized for you. And I think, not to sound spiritual here and not to sound very philosophical, I think realistically, if all of us can understand the beauty and the power of providence and just follow the path the way the water is flowing, you would probably achieve a lot of calmness and composure within you. And that
Mm.
calmness and composure within you arrests a lot of wavery thoughts in your head, and you can take clear decisions in life. So sometimes uh, these kind of experiences help you to realize this profound truth of life. So for me, that was definitely a huge shift, because what I was before that and what I am today, I can surely tell you, Phoebe, that I'm far more calmer, I'm far more composed. I take the way life comes in front of me, and I don't have great hopes of something that should happen, excitement or dissatisfaction or something not happening, etc. I think that helps you to calm. And I would definitely tell you that all the people who are listening here, you don't have to have an experience of a great loss or a grief that I went through. But I think from this, if you can realize this early, you start appreciating the providence of life, you'll be far more calmer and composed. I would have loved to have become this calm person in my 30s or early 40s. I realized it later in life.
Mm. Thank you for that. Uh, I think so. How have you seen that when you move to that entrepreneurship space? Uh, was this a thought behind that, or it happened prior to that? How where is that entrepreneurship shift happening for you?
Yeah. So the entrepreneurship happened before. So my father was there that time. That shift happened, which was consciously taken. I knew that I wanted to get into this space, and there's a lot of work that can be done and offered. And the cliche sentence, all of us at a certain life, we go through the midlife kind of a thing. I didn't go through that, thankfully. But I definitely knew that I want to do something different. And here I would
Mm,
want to call that, there's a very interesting book called Flow, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who talks about the 8 segments of, different levels of happiness and flow that you go through. I knew that starting something of my own in this space will probably take me to that quadrant of flow, which would be an eternal flow, eternal sense of enthusiasm and happiness and all this stuff. So I took the call, and then luckily today, as I'm talking to you, it's been what 5.5 years, 6 years journey into entrepreneurship. Was it a tough decision? It wasn't for me. It could be for others as well. But for the interest of listeners, those of you who would want to do something like this, which is completely pivotal or different in life, ask yourself this question: that is the purpose for you completely answered in this shift that you're making, or are you making just for a financial gain or some other ego that you want to satisfy for yourself? Please don't do it. But you see a very clear long-term purpose of doing this, go ahead and do it. You will realize that the decision is a good decision for you. And even if it doesn't work, today the corporate is in such a place that it can always open hands and call you back. So that's always there for all of us. But yes, if the clarity of the purpose is there in your head, you should probably take the jump. And I did that uh, into the space of entrepreneurship that I did. For others, any hobby you have, anything that you want to do, please go ahead and do it, because all of us, when we are at 60, 70, we don't want to regret that I didn't try,
mm, mm.
right? And unlike our father's era or our earlier era, today, the ecosystem allows you to try. Doesn't work, it's okay. Works, okay. I think that's my answer to your question, maybe.
Thank you. So, yeah, that's that's showing that experimentation in the process. Exploring what can we do, and how it turns out,
Yeah.
and seeing that interest within us is then explored and experimented continuously. So, thank you for highlighting that.
And I want
So,
to just add, I want to add one thing. This just came through my mind, which I missed saying. From an angle of the karma theory that we talk about, in the Hinduism, you can just take the efforts, and if you don't worry about the results, you're far more calm and composed. Number one. Second, the lesson from Dhoni that all of us have learned. He says, when I go to the field, I don't worry about the scoreboard. I just go and do what I need to do. Do I have to make the field placements? No, let me make the field placements. Do I have to instruct the bowler to spin or ball this way? I do that. Do I have to play the role of a wicket keeper? I do that. I do not bother about the results. That I think is a great quality for all of us, to just do what we know to do best instead of looking for the outcome of it.
mhm. Yeah, that's a profound lesson. And just those who are not familiar with Dhoni is the former captain of cricket team of India, and very well respected with his approaches to leadership. So just thought of giving you that insight if you are not familiar with. His name is MS Dhoni, and there is also a movie which was created
Yeah.
in his name. So thank you for Raji for sharing that. So yeah, time flies. We already reached 30 minutes. So I know. So it is nice to hear when we listen to the stories. So now again, a couple of other questions more I have. So looking back on your journey, what are you most proud of, and what excites you about the future?
I'm very proud of the fact that I took a plunge into entrepreneurship. And I'm very proud of the fact that I did not deter in taking this decision. And I'm very proud of the fact that I did not allow the anxiety of the future to halt me from taking that decision. And it worked well for me. And excitement about the future. I am always excited about what's in front of me. And as I said earlier, I'm not somebody who's really bothered about what the future is going to offer to me. Currently, my future is 6 p.m. in India, and I'm talking to Phoebe. This is my current future as well, right? So I'm not somebody who really looks far into the future because I don't do that. But however, from a learning angle or from an organization angle, I think all of us are in a very exciting space and time because one of the research says that coaching and training is one of the top three professions in the next 4 years that's going to really build organizations, build communities, etc. So I think people like you and me are in the right space, and I'm pretty excited about this fact that the younger generation, the multi-gen that we are talking about, are very keen to pick up new concepts, learn new concepts, go back and try. The rigidity is not there as it used to be there in our times initially. When you've seen that kind of bosses, that kind of people you have worked, I'm sure if you also have your own experience of such people.
Yeah,
But today I
yeah,
see around and see a lot of youngsters absolutely open to try and experiment different things, learn different things. So are we in exciting space to do a lot of different things and contribute to the society and to the space that we are in? Absolutely, and that excites me. And the flow that Mihaly talks just keeps oozing out of me because of that excitement.
yeah. So I just want to get your perspective for, like, for example, one group of audience is young professionals who are planning to enter into their
Hmm.
work area.
Hmm.
Similarly, sometimes people who are in the organization, but they are feeling stuck. They are unable to think about what I can do differently. So, what will be the perspectives you like to share with them? First, let us talk about the freshers, and next we will come back to people in their mid-career or they want to try something. What will be your perspectives and thoughts?
Right, right, right. I think the word context is very important here, right? And not so much of the content piece. For freshers, and I see a lot of them around who are also stuck into this entrepreneurship bug and they want to try something, startup. It's worked for so many people. Let me also jump into it, etc. But for people who are joining the corporate, I would very strongly tell them that initial couple of years, it's good to dirty your hands and legs as much as possible. That will help you to figure out what is that vertical line of the T that you want to pave your career ahead. Because initial years you would love to do everything and you want to do everything. It'll take some time for you to figure that vertical line. But for you to do that, you have to spend a lot of time on that horizontal line. Do whatever is coming to you in terms of what's given to you by your boss or by your organization without questioning, is this of value to me? Is
Hmm,
this what I've signed up for? In a corporate language, don't just restrict to the job description document. Go
hmm, hmm,
beyond that A4 size document and pick up anything that comes to you. You never know what will come back and help you later in your life as you become senior leaders.
hmm,
And
hmm,
once you reach that mid career and senior positions, people will appreciate you for somebody who kind of knows very many aspects of the business because you have done that in the initial years. That would be the
hmm,
only input for youngsters. And you know me what I do, so please read more. Read books. Don't get busy with work. Come back, spend time on mobile, or go around in the evening. Have all the fun in life. You're making money, you're enjoying life. All that is fine. But please read management books. Read biographies. Read autobiographies. You will learn so much that as you grow in your career, it will come and help you in form that you can't even imagine. That's for the young first time job goers. For the mid career, they are the sandwiched people, poor things. Right? And I understand where they are. But I think the beauty of that particular role is that's the point where you are getting into a zone which is going to help you, uh, not help you, it's going to take you to manage a climate above you, which is not that easy to manage. So for mid-career people, one of the fundamental learnings that I'll give is, if recommending a book is allowed, Phoebe, I'll do that.
Please, please, please do.
Yeah,
Yeah, of
for
course.
all mid-career professionals, you need to pick up this book called The First 90 Days. It's a classic by Watkins. Read the book. And then another book called Being the Boss by Linda Hill. These are two books that any mid-career professional should pick up and read. It gives you a lot of inputs on how do you take the next step as a manager. How do you take the next step in the transition from a manager to a leader? Because now in mid-career, you may be a manager or you may be a manager of manager, depending on how quickly have you ascended the corporate ladder. But you are in a space where you're handling people, you're managing processes, you're delivering business. So read these two books. It'll tell you two very fundamental learnings. One, you are always accountable for people and the organization. You're not responsible for anything. You're just accountable. If something goes well, you're going to be patted. If something goes wrong, you're going to be thrown into the jungle, into the prison, right? So remove this word responsibility and bury it mid-career professionals. Hold on to this word called accountability. That's a far heavier word, a lofted word, and far meaningful word. So that's first input. Second, ensure that you are helping your team members to become the better versions of themselves. I think that is something that at that mid career, if you can start doing, your ascendancy to leadership will be quicker because you become more visible to the organization. These are two quick input that I would like to give to all the mid careers.
And that's a beautiful message, especially that two books. Can you just repeat that two books? One is the 90 Days by.
First 90 Days by Watkins. Second is Being the Boss by Linda Hill.
Thank you, Rajiv. So, I think we are coming to the close of this session, and I just like to inform our audience. Rajiv heads and leads the leadership elements, and the organization offers book-based leadership programs, change programs for organizations across jurisdictions. So Rajiv, I like to invite you to just share about the leadership elements, its activities, and some of the interesting work aspects which you have done in that space to our audience.
Yeah, more than happy to do that. So I run this company called the Leadership Elements, and as all of you must have guessed it by now, that I'm an avid book lover, I'm an avid book reader, and I fundamentally believe that books play a very significant role in expanding and amplifying individuals. Right? If all of you have lost time in reading, please get the book after this call quickly. Right? That's one. So what we do as an organization is we build capabilities and capacities across departments, functions, and overall organizations, and help leaders to elevate their thinking process so that they can become a better contributors in their role, better contributors for the organization as well. So converting the concepts of leadership and management into applicable tools and techniques for people is what we do through our workshops and interventions, etc. That's one part. The second part is we also do a lot of HR consulting work, which is all about the entire life cycle of an employee from the entry to exit, which could be anything from employee engagement to talent, succession planning, career frameworks, etc. But all of this go back to the fundamental tool called books, and we have been able to impact many organizations across the regions that we work on. So that's quickly on what I do with the organization.
Yeah, so friends, I just want to inform you, Rajiv is a fantastic keynote speaker and have a vertical called Lighthouse, which is 1.5 hours of discussions on specific themes which you like to run in your organization to inspire people. So here is a speaker which I'm just again highlighting, and
Thank you.
and to all my friends out there. So thank you for joining and tuning in whenever you are watching at your leisure, at your commute, whichever space you are in. Take care. And Rajiv, thank you very much for joining me in this session from ordinary to extraordinary. And I like to express my words of thanks to you. Thank you.
Or absolutely, I reciprocate the same, Phoebe. We have been good friends for many years, and thank you for inviting me. I've heard the earlier conversation, and you had some great people coming in from different geographies of the world, and I'm so glad that you chose me also to be one of the guests. It was absolutely a free flow conversation. unformatted, unscripted. So loved it completely. Thanks for making it so interesting and lovely. Thanks again to all the audience who have tuned in and others who are going to listen to us later. Enjoy, and I hope this 40 minutes would be of some use to you, and one thinking shift would happen in your head when you listen to our conversation. That's the hope with which I leave this call.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm
Bye
ending
bye.
the broadcast now. Thank